We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
And you're back on Liberty Nation Radio. I remain your host, Mark Angelides. We're continuing our baseball-themed conversation with Tim Donner, Joe Schaefer, and Andrew Moran. Now, earlier, Joe, you were explaining about the article that you'd written on page of LibertyNation.com about how death threats against players, and then the fans just getting blamed for this kind of thing, even though it's quite a ubiquitous online talk online is very, very cheap. And then, Tim, you rammed us around with essentially a history lesson on why baseball does not allow or did not allow gambling. Andrew, as our resident economist, is the money too much to resist for the Major League Baseball teams?
Yeah, of course. I mean, in every avenue of our society, you can bet. Polymarket's one of the biggest betting websites in the world today, and you can bet on pretty much everything. You can bet on whether a celebrity is going to trip during an award ceremony. You can bet on who's going to win an election. You can bet if Trump is going to not follow Elon Musk, before July 1st. There are all these different things you can bet on. So Major League Baseball is taking advantage of that situation. The internet has made it easier. The treasure trove of baseball data can make it, quite intriguing. It's the fans' fault though for their behavior toward betting. I can't really fault Rob Manfred for embracing betting in baseball. Yes, it is odd to see when you're watching Fox Baseball and you're seeing the host saying, "Oh yeah, there's a 2 to 3 odds of of this baseball player hitting a home run to right field." It is strange to see that, but we have to acclimate to it. Now, you can just ignore it or you can participate. You've been always able to gamble on baseball. And up here in Canada, we have ProLine. You go to a store or you go to a website now and you just bet on, whether the Boston Red Sox will lose 1 run in extra innings to the Tampa Bay Rays or the New York Yankees, as they've always been doing lately. But anyway, so I really don't have much of an issue. I just blame more the fans. I mean, also the internet. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember this, of course. In 2003, the NLCS, Florida Marlins, Chicago Cubs, there was a fan in the stands, and he caught a ball that was supposed to be caught by Abreu, and the Chicago fan base went apoplectic. This was before, of course, the prevalence of the internet. So people went on sports talk radio and started bashing that fan and saying, "Oh, how dare he do this? He has to watch out. He has to watch his skin." All these different things. So the internet overall has just made everything a lot easier to do, and of course, it expands the pie for a lot of companies and gambling and baseball's brands.
So it's quite common, though, isn't it, that if a behavior is incentivized, because what they're asking for when they're putting when they're putting betting locations within a Major League Baseball stadium, that they're encouraging a behavior, and the behaviors come with other things. And Joe, you pointed out in your article, they put a 10-cent beer night on, and we're then surprised when people overindulged in beer and a riot broke out. It's like you kind of could have figured something would happen, and they don't seem to be making any. I mean, this is just my opinion. They don't seem to be looking at what's the way to mitigate the inherent dangers that come with gambling.
And that is the central theme of what I was trying to get across in the article. That, yeah, I'm actually agreeing with Andrew. I loved betting back in the day when I was younger and more reckless. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed gambling on sports, responsibly. But what I see today with sports is, and I'll use it again, a toxic approach to revenue streams. It's almost an adversarial relationship with the fans, where it's not their game anymore. When I was a kid, I grew up with 80s baseball, and you felt like you were part of the team. You really did. You felt like you were part of a game. Now it seems like a 100% transactional exchange, a consumerist relationship. Half these sports, and Tim knows baseball's the worst, they're more like clothing lines than professional leagues. They've got a new uniform every day because they want to sell it for $300 a pop at the store. And yeah, okay, it's on the fans if they want to be stupid to, buy all that stuff over and over again, what many of them do. But with gambling, it's even more dangerous because you're taking people who are fans of the game, don't have $85 million contracts, and you're encouraging behavior that often they cannot afford. As someone who bet probably a little too much when I was younger, I understand the situation, how it feels when you bet more than you can afford to lose. This happens all the time. And, how much money do you need? A $700 million contract for Ohtani, can we knock that down to $600 million and not ruin people's lives with this gambling? I'm for the gambling, but the aggressive marketing is the problem. And the fact that it seems like they just want the revenue stream. They don't really care about the fans.
Let me just see something. Baseball is...
To say, I feel a market-based response coming from Andrew here.
As opposed to morality.
We have to realize something. We tend to forget this. I forget this too when I'm watching, we'll focus on the Red Sox. Baseball is a business. It is entertainment. The goal for the commissioners, for the baseball owners, is to maximize revenue. And you're complaining about $600 million contracts. That is the market approach to these contracts. Tim Donner's boy, Cohen, for the New York Mets, he has an unlimited pocket. If he wants to bid $800 million for Juan Soto and the next biggest baseball owner, let's say John Henry of the Boston Red Sox, he can't match that. That is the market at best. Pitchers, they get a premium no matter how much the risk, no matter how risky that position is. You're going to bid up the price because of how demand they are and how limited there are of these left-handed pitcher who can throw a 95 cutter, a four-seam fastball, in a World Series game. That's what you're paying for. So this is a business. Major League Baseball is a company. It's not a charity. It's not a nonprofit organization. It's not even the business of morality. I don't know why we have to look to corporate America to determine our morality.
Well, the trends are in Major League ballparks are to provide various forms of entertainment and amusement at games. It used to be you just go to the park and you watch the baseball game. Now I've got a place like the Arizona Diamondbacks have a hot tub and a pool just over the right field fence. You have all kinds of distractions for kids with slides and batting machines and stuff. And so it's all about trying to draw in the more disinterested elements of society who might come to baseball if they're going to have a really good time and don't just have to watch the game the whole time. So it's all about increasing the brand by offering more and more to the consumer, and that includes the opportunity to gamble.
I want to continue that theme after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.